Hey everybody, the Lazy Gardener here, and it's July 10th, and I've been asked to give an updated tour of my garden, so let's do that. So we're going to start right over in the same place, kind of track the first tour that I did, which we can link up here. This is carrots, and they're coming along. We've harvested them a few times. They're not really huge, but I do pack my carrots a little denser than most, and I should probably do that, but I'll harvest around the outside, and we'll keep harvesting these all season, and we're already getting carrots. These are the leeks. The leeks, we had a little bit of a leek catastrophe here. If you'll see over here, that is a leek that is bolting or flowering, and it looks very similar to a garlic scape, and it's a leek scape. You could probably eat it. But the problem with that is that you're not supposed to be getting leek scapes. Leeks are biennials, and this is their first year, and they've somehow been tricked into thinking they're growing in a second year, and you really want a large unbolted leek. So that's a little bit unfortunate. I popped them off, but we'll still eat them. They'll still be fine. But it must have been, I think it was that frost that we had in May, that late frost, that I think caused them to bolt, because this is not the only thing that's bolted on me that's unusual. Over here we have the tomatoes that suffered from the frost damage. I've left these up as an experiment. I was thinking of taking them down and replacing them, but I wanted to see specifically what happened. There's no question that these tomatoes are behind. These ones over here that I'll show you in a second are 3 weeks younger. They were planted 3 weeks later, and they just blow these away. So it's interesting to see what's going on, but they are healthy. They're doing okay, and some are doing much better than others. You'll see over here, these look pretty large, but the ones in the middle are way behind. And they're just not growing at the speed or the vigor that they should have. So if you have serious frost damage on a tomato plant and you have a replacement, I'm going to highly recommend you do that. Right, and then this is what the tomatoes, those should be bigger than these. You can see that these are hitting about the 6 foot mark. This is a nice little trick that I did in another video. I show you how to properly do tomato cages. You can stack the tomato cages and get a much higher support for your tomatoes. And if you look here, this is rock solid. We just had winds yesterday of I don't know, about 35-40 miles an hour, and you could see they're just perfectly fine. This will hold you all season. Okay, keep coming. Down here is where the fava beans were. We harvested those, and I've now turned it into a potato box, a late harvest of potatoes. See, I planted some purple ones here. You can really see the purple foliage is coming out. Those will be purple potatoes. And then here's some yellow potatoes, and we'll get these later in the season. Over here is where I had the garlic, and we did a video on the garlic harvest that you can see. And I've already replaced them with something else. As soon as the garlic comes out, for 3 boxes, I put in beans. These are string beans. Those are some dry beans. And over here we have some pole soup beans. These are really good. These are Portuguese style beans. And I just harvested the music garlic, which looks great. It's a little late, but it looks really fantastic. Got really big bulbs. Come on this way. Over here this was my early string beans. You can see them here. There's a few left, but we have harvested just bags and bags off of here. Let's see if I think I saw one over there, but we just got bags and bags of beans over these. I think these are tired. They may or may not give me another flush, but I'd be satisfied with that. I've already planted another box. Over here is some extra tomatoes. They are just doing fantastic. They are loving this box, and those are even younger than those tomatoes over there. So it just goes to show how fast tomatoes can grow if they're in the right conditions. Okay, we got the early potatoes that I planted. They should putter along for another 2-3 weeks, but I'm planning on going in there and getting some potatoes real soon, and eventually I'll do the harvest. Maybe we'll do a video on the harvest. Come on this way. Okay, this is the pepper section. I got green peppers over here, 9 of them, but there's yellow, there's orange, there's red. You can see over here, look how beautiful. Can you get a shot of this? How beautiful they're coming in. They look great. And then over here we got the hot peppers. These are the habaneros. There's plenty of them on there if you can get a view. Yeah, look at those. Those are spicy, spicy. And over here we have the cayennes, like these, the red ones and the orange ones. We'll make our own hot sauce out of it. And then just on the end here, I just put in some cabbages to take up some space. I had really no idea that these were going to get these Savoy cabbages. I never really planted them before. I do want to protect them from the cabbage moth worm, so it's really essential to put these things on it. But if I grow these again, I need less and need to make these bigger. But there's a giant head over there, if you can see that, that's coming in. Okay, so let's go down to the lower orchard. Okay, so over here we have the broccoli. We've already harvested a bunch of it, and with broccoli you get these side shoots, so you get these cut and come again. You cut the main head, and then right now it doesn't have any, but there'll be a smaller, like broccolini at the end of this, and you'll eat it with the leaves, and it's really, really delicious. And over here we have some onions, and these onions, can you get a shot in here? These purple onions, I actually thought they would get bigger, but they're coming along nicely. And if you can see, they're starting to fall over. So these onions are going to be ready pretty soon, maybe 2 more weeks. Over here we have soybeans, and you know, in that one of my first video, it looked like when this was empty, how the soybeans going to get this tall, and there they are. They're almost to the top, and they'll start flowering really soon. The soybeans are delicious. Those are edamame. This is a Portuguese. This is a bean, like the type I had planted a younger batch of up there. A Portuguese type soup bean. See here, just starting to form. These are going to be really, really big suckers. Here's one here, if you can see. They're going to get really big, and those are just fantastic for making soups or eating steamed. Over here, my peas failed out, so I flipped them over as quick as I could into tomatoes, and the tomatoes look fantastic, and I'll have an extra 10 plants of tomatoes this year. That's fine. Over here we have, this is some Portuguese type cabbage and Brussels sprouts, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe those Brussels sprouts are bolting. The Portuguese cabbage has bolted. If you can see, can you get in there? It almost looks like a little bit of broccolini is going to come out. They're delicious, but that's not why I was growing this cabbage, was for these shoots. And the shoots are much better in the spring if they're tender. But I've grown this for 7 years or 8 years. I've never had it bolt on me. So again, I really blame that early frost we had. But look, it's not that big of a deal. Your stuff bolts, you still can eat the produce. Come on over here. We've got cabbage heads forming. This will be ready relatively soon. We already got one purple cabbage, and I think that one over there is suffering from lack of space. We've got some more broccoli back there. I think we'll come around this way. These are a shelling bean, so instead of like a dried bean, it's similar to a dried bean for storage, but instead of drying it, you pick them when they're enlarged and you freeze them. And they're fantastic. They don't have to be rehydrated, and I think they give a lot better flavor to soup. And we'll just get tons of these. These are coming along, and these are a little bit slow to ripen, but when they do, they come by the yard. Over here, we have the last box of onions. I was trying to get some bigger onions this year here, and you can see in a couple of places over there, I may have succeeded in finally getting at least some decent sized ones. Keep refining craft. I'm not really that great at onions, I have to say. Okay, over here we have the squash. This is watermelon. Why don't you come follow me? You can see the watermelons are starting to form. The little watermelon. That'll get to be probably about this big. This is not the hugest watermelon plant. I don't like them that big. And right here we have butternut. We have acorn, we have butternut, spaghetti squash, and pumpkins. I think you can see having a little problem with some bacterial wilt. You can see, not gets everybody. There's some nice spaghetti squash. There's a really big one back there if you can see. I don't know if you can just get under these plants. You can see that there's a pumpkin under there forming. There's some butternuts in here too. Over here is the cantaloupes. They are getting creamed by the bacterial wilt, which comes from the cucumber beetles. So it is what it is. I think that I might be lucky if I get some cantaloupes. Maybe I won't. But over here, at least we've been doing great with the zucchini and the cucumbers. Already picking some cucumbers. Can you come back this way? We got some cucumbers. We already picked some. And you can see over here some more squash forming. We try and catch it as soon as, if you can get in there, you can see there's some in there. We try and catch it. If it gets any bigger than that, it's going to be picked. You don't want your zucchini or your summer squash to get too large. Once those seeds start forming, the plant stops forming as many fruits. So you're doing yourself a favor by picking them small, and they're obviously more tender. All right, we got one more area of the garden to see, and then we're done. All right, this is the last area of the garden. I've got another cantaloupe plant here that hopefully is a backup. Maybe I'll get some cantaloupes from here. Got a few beets left over here from the spring. Got some more potatoes because you never can have enough potatoes. Back here we have some New Zealand spinach. The New Zealand spinach is it's great this time of the year because you're not going to get any spinach. It's good for sauteing or in soups. To add some leafy greens. I planted some more late potatoes because I had the room, and those will be great. Those will store and may even allow me to plant them again next year and have my own seed. And a little more potatoes. Got a few extra tomato plants. Why don't you come on into the greenhouse? Got just a few more plants here, a few more tomatoes, a wall of cucumbers over there, some parsley, some basil, and that's about it. So I hope you enjoyed the tour, and good luck and good gardening.